out to lunch with Tre Tre. This is the hour where I talk to my celebrity friends. And this week, we're talking to Griffiths. He's going to be ringing me in about 10 minutes' time. So this gives me chance to read the book. Well, read an excerpt or the epilogue of the book. Anyway, Griff is the middle son of a gypsy witch and a West London car dealer, born into a very well-known, close-knit, large family from Notting Hill. It's a very upmarket Notting Hill. He says, I was a market trader, tyre fitter, professional musician, artist, entrepreneur, furniture dealer, gilder, property portfolio, professional comedian, model, sports therapist, songwriter, producer, Freemason, father, lifelong mental health sufferer, massive breakdown, suicidal, and in an institution believing I was the king of Spain. These are documented tales from an emergency operation to avoid arm amputation after being hit twice by the same car, to a bizarre 25,000 drug deal involving armed Arabs. Beatles photographer Bob Freeman and frontman, Led Zeppelin's frontman Robert Plant in a Marrakesh street market. It's quite funny. Now, this could be my guy, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to, just give me 1 second, 1 moment, please. Right, I'm just going to play one of the songs. This is called Are They Hostile? So hopefully, guys, this is going to play, because I'm absolutely terrible at buttons. So let me see. This is called Are They Hostile? So let's have a listen to this, the first one, while I sort out the technical side on this end. So there you go. That was Are They Hostile? So hopefully I have got our... Are you there, Griff?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hello, sweetie.
Hello, Tre Tre. You just said to me, if I cut you off, can you call me back? I don't know what I'm doing. There's too many buttons.
You're
freaking out, Tre Tre.
Did you have to say that live on air? Griff, thank you.
Yes, well done. Live on air. I love a bit of live radio. It's very nice to hear your voice, Tre Tre. It's nice to speak to you.
Thank you, sweetie. Right. So that song there, Are They Hostile? Who wrote that? You mentioned...
Right, now, the story behind Are They Hostile is it was a record that I made, the first ever record I made. It was recorded when I was 14 and released when I was 15 years old.
Wow.
Now that's, oh good Lord, that's 79, 1980.
Oh,
now, I know, it seems like, well, it's years ago, but I'm nearly 60. Now, the story behind that, I was watching the Slits film, Here to Be Heard, in a cinema in Croydon. Standing at the bar next to me was my partner in the project of Are They Hostile, Mark Williams. And we just decided, over a few beers, to do a documentary and about all the Croydon bands from back in those days. And Are They Hostile is the name of the film we made, and also the name of the album that came out with all the bands that are featured on the in the film. All these brilliant Croydon bands, such as the Daleks, the Straps, the Marines, Case, Bad Actors, brilliant bands. It's a great piece of very interesting and important history, really.
Well, the book is amazing. I mean, this book, I've actually found a page where you went to my island, the Greek island of Rhodes.
Yes.
You did. You went there. I didn't know Bush was there, though. What year was that?
Oh, God. I can't remember what year it was. Well, I was actually in the town of Rhodes, and I was buying myself a Spartan outfit.
Oh, yeah.
Go to a fancy dress party. So I had all the Spartan gear in the boxes and stuff, and I was very, 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 very drunk. And I wandered into this restaurant, right on the outskirts of the town, and there was all these security guards there, and I kind of managed to get through these security guards, God knows how or why, and there was George Bush Senior sitting in the corner of the restaurant having a meal.
Wow.
Yes, and I just said, oh, can I join you? And for some reason, he looked over and he just nodded me through the security, and I sat down and I had a glass of wine with him.
You must have one of them faces that says, come in and have a drink with us, mate.
Tre Tre, this face has got me into many situations. Some of them good, some of them not so good.
Right, tell me about when you knocked Philip Schofield out.
No, I didn't knock him out. Now, I sent you this video clip. I was signed back in 1980, back when I was 24, I was signed to a major record deal for Arista Records, which is the big American record label. Now, we used to do loads of charity events for a firm called Nordorf Robbins, I think they were called, and they were doing a charity stock car event at the Wimbledon Speedway. And they gave me this big old white, I think it was a Hummer or a Hillman, and I painted it with tiger stripes, and I painted a white boiler suit with tiger stripes. I put a Mohican on top of my helmet, a fake Mohican, massive fake Mohican on top of this car, and then I was in the same race as Philip Schofield. So you see, and it went out on Going Live, so you see me racing around towards the track, you see me come right up behind him, which is a bad turn of phrase there.
And you knocked him out of the game.
Yes, knocked him out of the park. That's forever kept on film, and I think I did try to send you that video clip because it's on my YouTube channel. I did try to send you it.
Had you ever done stock car racing before?
Never.
Is it like ordinary driving on the road, is it?
It was so exciting, honestly, because it was all organised by somebody else. They take the windows out, they put the seats in, they take all the... I think they reduce the amount of fuel in there, they take the seats out and stuff, so you've only got the driver's seat. But it was so exciting. There was all sorts of people. There was major pop stars. There was, at the time, do you remember that band Bros?
Yes.
Well, they were in my race. They were in my hit.
Oh, really?
So I had this 1968 Hummer or whatever it was, and they had these two American Cadillacs. I think they were American sports cars. So they were going to get through anyway. But yeah, it was just a superb day, and so it was captured on film forever.
Wow. Well, I'm going to look, I'm just dipping in and out of this page, and I found another page. It says, I was at a bullring type of arena in Spain watching a horse gymnastics display with my dad. I was co-manager. You were sat in between. My dad was keeping an eye on Lisa Stansfield at the time, so she was with us and seated next to Dad. On one side was Latoya Jackson, on the other, and Michael Jackson. So
no, but Latoya Jackson. Now this was the deal, you see. But do you remember back in the day then?
When they thought they were one and the same.
Yes. Do you remember all that?
Yeah.
Because there was all these things. They were never seen in the same room at the same time. There was a big media rumour that Latoya Jackson was actually Michael Jackson. And of course, you can't help but stare at her because...
Did you stare?
Yeah, she was sitting next to me. Hello! That was a really weird voice. Hi, my name's Griff. Hello! Yes. And it was, well, I think now it came out that it was actually Toya Jackson was a different person. She wasn't the best of conversationalists, I've got to say. I don't know if she'd do a live radio interview like this.
But you could see why people actually think they are one of the same person.
Oh, but everyone was taking pictures of her because at that moment in time, that was all the media was talking about. Because they were never seen at the same room at the same time. They were never at the same event. There was either Michael Jackson there or Latoya Jackson there. So everyone was thinking that it was, his alter ego. Which you wouldn't put it past her, such a chat, would you?
You wouldn't, no, not in this. No, you wouldn't, no.
Yeah, not I think whoever it was probably melted in the sun anyway.
And what about when you went shopping in Tesco's in a Dalek?
Yes. Yeah, oh yeah, cool. You have been doing your homework. When I bought it, I still got it upstairs in the bedroom. I've got a life-size Dalek. Now, I put on a few stunners in there, but you could get in it. It comes apart in 3 pieces. And I put it in the back of my mate's car, my mate's van, and we drove to Tesco's, and I got in it, and he pushed me around Tesco's with a
oh my God!
Bag, and literally, I was pointing at stuff with the eye, the eye at the top, and it was we went through and paid, and no one even mentioned anything. And as I say in the book, there was a great deal of effort for very little result. No one even said, "What are you doing with the Dalek in here?"
I can't believe that.
That's true.
I can't believe no one batted an eyelid that a Dalek was shopping round Tesco.
No one batted an eyelid. It's almost like that happens every day. I wasn't saying anything, but they obviously knew there was someone in there, but no one, maybe they just thought we were completely insane, but no one said anything at all.
Where did you get the Dalek from?
I got it from a collector. I've over the course of the years, I managed to collect loads of stuff. I've got like a collection of pinball machines and arcade machines and paraphernalia from films. I've got a life-size, which stands about 6 foot tall, the Darth Maul. I've got a Jar Jar Binks.
Oh my God!
I've got a Dalek you can get inside.
Wow, that's unbelievable. And also, right, there's another thing. That's Sotheby's and you're gilding.
Oh yes. What I made when I got. I know. These
are you seriously telling me they're in Richard Branson's house?
I know 2. Yes, I got 2 frames. There was a video of Richard Branson doing it when I went to Virgin Holiday, and he was saying, "Hi, welcome to Virgin Holiday." And behind him, there's 2 mirrors that I made in his Necker Island villa. I made these. There was 2 other mirrors I made, and I covered them with a verdigris, which verdigris is it's a lichen that grows on metal when it's in water.
Goes green.
Yes, green. Yeah. Now I painted them with this green wash. And I took them to Sotheby's, thinking that they say, "Well, we don't sell reproductions," but I thought I'd give it a go.
Throw you out, yeah. I think we would.
He said, "Where did you get these from?" And I said, "A friend of mine got them from an old galleon in the Solent. Pulled them up."
You didn't.
Yes. Because this was the mirror expert. I thought he'd say, "Yeah, on your bike, mate." And he said, "Oh, well, they're definitely old frames. The glass is new, the plate is new, the glass is new." And he put them in the auction room, and I got 1,700. I think I was 1,700 quid for the pair, or 2 grand for the pair.
Oh my gosh!
I know. And like 3 weeks later, I went back with another pair. and he's he wouldn't come
from the same galleon.
Yeah. Well, what is it here? Absolutely. And these are true stories. You can't. Why? These are true stories. Now, whenever I hear on the TV, on the radio, there's an expert in, I know, Second World War memorabilia, I always hash back to the fact that I fought this bloke who was an expert, the frame and mirror expert at Sotheby's. So who is an expert? You have to wonder.
I know. That is unbelievable.
It is. It's true as well, absolutely. Well, I did make some beautiful, there are some pictures of some of the products I made there. I mean, I was very good at what I did. I'm quite creative. And I used to make antiques that looked like, well, antiques made here was the slogan, really. But yeah, there was a great need in that the interior design world then for proper antique-looking mirrors, but made to measure, made to specific sizes.
But a galleon, a lost galleon.
Yes, absolutely. That's a true story. I'm a little bit embarrassed for the bloke, because that was his job.
Were we missing a galleon? Were we missing a lost galleon?
Well, I didn't go any further, because there wasn't one. Trey, it's amazing what you can get with a face like this, my darling, with a face like this. You can't see me. With a face like this.
Yeah, and it's just unbelievable. And also, when you were sitting at some traffic lights in Wellington, Surrey, and suddenly a dog ran across the road attached to a Wall's ice cream sign.
Yes, yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I was right in the traffic light.
What happened to the dog? Did you save it?
Well, yeah, the dog was... someone had tied it up outside a sweet shop. He'd run, thinking... And as he was attached to this ice cream sign, the ice cream sign went with him, and he thought he was chasing it. So he went across in front of me, literally in front of all the traffic, ran into a brick wall and knocked himself out. So
the dog knocked himself out?
Yes, so I jumped out the van, and I saved the dog, and this fella came over and said, oh, bloody hell, sorry, mate. And about 3 weeks later, I was having an operation on my knee. Okay, and the anaesthetist came in and he said, oh, you're the bloke that saved my dog. And it was him.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a coincidence.
Well, thanks for doing that, mate. And then he put me to sleep, but I've never seen him
since. So anyway, we won't swear at this one, but anyway, how the heck could you eat 2 airplane meals? I don't care if it's Aha's meal, Morton Harkett.
Yes, I've never liked Aha. I mean, I know they've got their place in musical history, but unfortunately it's not in mine. So I was in an internal flight in Germany. I think we were doing some gigs over there. I'm sitting down, and literally as we're taking off, this geezer sits next to me, and it's Morton Harkett, the front man from Aha. Anyway, all right, mate. He said, so as the plane takes off, he falls asleep. Then about 20 minutes or so into the flight, they come round with food and stuff, and I put his tray down, put my tray down, ate my dinner, looked at him, he was still asleep, so I ate his dinner. And then by the time that they came round for all the rubbish, I just gave him all the rubbish. Then as we went to land, I put his table up, and he was none the wiser that I'd eaten his dinner.
But how could you eat 2 plain meals, Griff? Come on.
Well, that's why I put on 2 stones. Everyone says, whenever they see my girlfriend, they always say I'm punching above the weight. They can't say that now because I put on 2.5 stones.
Oh, my word. Right, we've got another issue here.
Am I talking too fast?
No, you talk as fast as me, don't worry. No. Let's talk about the Robert Freeman and the very famous deal for £25 since the £25,000. What the heck was you doing walking around the back streets of Marrakesh?
Well, we were doing an album cover shoot for an album in a band I was in. And the options were to go to Bournemouth for a long weekend or go to North Africa for 10 days. Morocco and Algeria. So obviously we said, well, we're going
obviously, yeah.
And the photographer we used at that time was a chap called Robert Freeman. Now, Robert Freeman was a very well-respected photographer. He did all the Beatles stuff, amongst other things. So anyway, we're just about to depart with the departure lounge. My manager at the time was a chap called Alan Bound. Now, he was a big noise in the 60s. The departure lounge. We've seen, with Robert Freeman, we've seen sitting in the corner is Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin. He was with his son. He was going to Morocco for 7 days holiday, so we got chatting to him because they all knew each other.
Yeah.
First hotel in Morocco was a place called La Mamounia. La Mamounia, I think then, now it's still today, it's one of the top 10 hotels in the world. So we're staying there the first 3 nights. Robert Plant's there, but we're getting on really well. They decided to buy some hash, right? Can I say this on here?
We won't mention it again. We'll just carry on.
Can I say it on air? Can I say it?
Yeah, we'll just leave the word out, but go on, carry on.
So anyway, so we've gone down to the Marrakesh market, and then in Pigeon French, they're asking where to go to get...
Where we can buy fruit.
Yes. So we tried some fruit. I was off my head. And they decided that they want to buy this fruit, okay? But in their Pigeon French, the people we were buying it from thought that we wanted £25,000 worth. We wanted 25 quid worth. I know, isn't it? All went really weird in this room, and there was all these scarred-faced people, and I'm sure they were armed. And they're shouting, no, what happened? And then all of a sudden, Planty says, I think we're in trouble here, Griff. And one thing led to another. They went, oh, Robert Plant, let's it. And we got away with it. There's a lot more to that story, which is in the book.
Yeah.
Another 2 stories.
We've had to cut it fine because of Ofcom on what we're about.
You dragged it out of me.
I dragged it out of you. But you carry on. You give me some of your stories now. Come on, you tell me. And what song should we play? I've got a few songs here, so which one should we listen to?
Well, did you find?
I've got Are They Hostile, the playlist, so I would
put on. There's some excellent tracks on there from a band called The Case, from the Mopeds, from the Straps. But I tell you, there's a superb track called Step This Way. Now that was written and performed by a band called the Marines. Now, the bass player from the Marines is a very good friend of mine. I've known him for over 40 years. When he left the Marines back in 1980, he joined these hugely successful Voice of the Beehive. And he's had a great career with them for over 35 years, I think, and he's still in them now. But this track is called Step This Way, and it's by the Marines.
Well, you've got a lot of bands that you talked to me about. You're mentioning some very famous members. So we'll talk about after this song. So let's try this song now. Yeah, that's here.
So that's the end of another song. That's down by the garden.
Oh, not so bad now. Sunny town, I like it here now. Sunny town, I gotta fall in love here. Tiny town. Gonna go on the back. Here we go. Is this it?
No, that's the Fanatic.
Oh, it's got Step This Way. Let's play this anyway. Total confusion. So who sings this one?
Well, are we on air yet?
Yeah, we're on air. Yeah, we're live on air. Yeah.
Well, that's a superb band called the Fanatics. Now, I've been following the Fanatics for 40 years. They've just reformed. They've re-released this single, and apparently it's, I think, single of the week in a couple of mod forums and New Wave forums, which is superb. And it's about time they had the recognition they deserve, the Fanatics. They're superb.
It's good. It's good. So there we go with a bit of total confusion. The Fanatics, great tune.
This is a brilliant tune. Now, they reformed for an in-store sort of personal appearance we did at the end of last year, and I actually guested on drums for them for 2 tracks, and that's one of the tracks I've always wanted to play for the last 40 years. And I eventually got round to playing it with them I think it was in January this year. But yeah, brilliant band, the Fanatics. Just reformed after all those years.
Wow. So you're a drummer. You're a drummer. When you play in music bands, you're a drummer, yeah?
Yes, indeed. I've been playing drums since I was 10 years old, so over 50 years.
Wow. And your band was called Strength?
Well, I was in many bands, but there was a band where I think we had 2 or 3 top 50 hits here. I think it was with a band called Strength, or just outside the top 40, something like that. Yes, we had, I think, 6 or 7 singles released in the UK under the name of Strength. Yes, unfortunately, we were at the same time as a band called Blue Zone, which was Lisa Stansfield's band.
Oh.
And they started taking off, and unfortunately, all their efforts, Harrison representatives, went into promoting Blue Zone, and we were dropped. But that's the nature of the music industry, I'm afraid, Tre Tre.
It is, isn't it? It is. It really is. So, what?
I tell you where we went last night. I'm now in a jam tribute band. I get my sort of paid hobby. We went to see, I heard you played Going Underground earlier.
Yeah.
We went to see Rick Buckler in Conversation last night up at the 100 Club. And he came across as such a lovely bloke. I've never met him before, Rick. He was such a lovely bloke, and I think he was out of a job when the jam split up. But so they were a massive part of my youth jam.
So how did music lead you to be a stand-up comedian?
Well, I was a professional musician for I think 20-odd years, 25 years, something like that. And then when we lost our record deal with Arista, I just pretty much had enough of the music industry.
Yeah.
I was sponsored by Tama at the time, which is a drum company, and I sold all the kits. And I had my own 16-track studio. I sold everything. I just had enough of the music industry. You know, I'd survived that long, and I got to a certain point, very happy with my successes, however big they were, and I got out of that, and I started a furniture company, and this furniture company done very well. In the end, I had about 16 staff working for me, but I had a terrible breakdown, and I ended up in an institution thinking I was the King of Spain.
Yeah.
Now, eventually, I used that negative as a positive, and I used the idea that I was a Spanish royalty as a routine for comedy. I became a professional comedian for about 4 or 5 years.
Wow. So,
I took what was a terrible, terrible, dark place negative, and I made that into a positive, which I'm very proud that I combated that.
That's good.
Any medication, and I've done very well in my own mind there.
That is brilliant. I mean, congratulations to you. Brilliant. So, can I ask you though, what made you think you were the King of Spain?
Now, that's a question that I've been asked a few times, and I really couldn't tell the answer to that. I was working, for some reason, in my shop. The 2 Saturday staff hadn't turned up. My manager wasn't there. There was no one working in the workshop behind, so I was basically in charge. And I was working 7 days a week, 24/7 for, oh God, it's got to be 8 or 10 years. I reached burnout, I think they call it.
Yeah.
And I was sitting on this big chair that I was selling. It was an antique chair, and I just thought I was the King of Spain. I was a king, and people were coming in, and I just said, "Oh, don't bother paying for that. You can take it because I'm royalty." And all the shopkeepers on my parade that I'd known for at least 8 years, rather than saying, "Griff, you should close the shop up. There's something not right here," they phoned up their friends and said, "Look, Griff down the road there's keeping stuff away. Go and get some," which is awful.
Yeah.
Yes, it is, and that's true. And but then a friend of mine came wandering in and said, "Oh, what's going on here?" And he stopped these people walking out with a table, and one thing led to another. I ended up in the Priory, so I had 2 stints in the Priory. But yes, thinking I was the King of Spain, and well, you can't see me, but you can see pictures of me in the book.
Yeah.
I look nothing like a Spaniard.
I think your dad knew, like you said.
Yes, he did. Yes, I was sitting there wearing a sombrero, having a glass of sangria, listening to the Gypsy Kings on my Walkman, and my dad said, "You're not Spanish." And he said, "If you're Spanish, say something in Spanish." And obviously I can't. He knew, but mum was crying, mind you.
Yeah. So I'm glad you got over it, and I'm glad you turned it into a positive, because otherwise we wouldn't be sat here talking now.
Oh, Trey, I'm making very light of what was at that point.
Yeah.
At that moment, it was a life-changing scene. It was as dark as the darkest place you could ever imagine. There was no humour in it whatsoever. I split up my wife. I told my business. I didn't see my son for a while. It changed everything. You know, my parents, my family, my close friends. It affected everybody. So, you know, I'm making very light of what at that point was, you know, it could have gone one of 2 ways, really. And I'm glad that it went the positive way. You know, the coin fell on the positive side rather than the negative. So I'm pleased with that.
Well, I am for you too, and I'm glad you can talk about it. I'm glad we can sit here and talk about it. And you can talk about it and look back on it and say you've overcome it. And everything.
Oh, absolutely. Well, when I went out as a comedian, Griff was the king of Spain, people thought I was a genius. They thought, well, what a great character he's created. Well, it was actually me. It was real. Yeah, I was just playing myself.
Yeah.
So, yes, Trey, yeah. It was a very, very dark period. And like I say, I could laugh about it now, which is amazing, really. But at that point, yeah, when you got suicidal thoughts, it's just, well, you read more of the chapters of the book and you'll find out. But yeah, it was a life-changing scene, that was. But lots of other doors opened up. So when I became a comedian, it opened up doors for modelling, for other sides of entertainment, for some voiceover stuff. You know, so everything sort of changed for me again. So.
I mean, modelling. How did the modelling career go?
Well, what happened was, I was doing. Don't laugh. I know you've seen pictures of me. I don't laugh.
Stop it.
That's a proper laugh. But Trey, what happened was, when you're a performer, everybody who's listening here, probably yourself, when you're a performer, or in the public eye, so to speak, you get lots and lots of people offering you lots and lots of stuff, most of which, 99%, don't come to anything.
Yeah.
And I was doing a gig in the West End, and this fella came up to me and said, will you be in my pop video? And I said, yes, mate. So we exchanged numbers, blah, 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 blah. One thing to know that it was a band called Hardfire. Do you remember Hardfire?
Hardfire? No, I don't.
Oh, they were a brilliant band. They were quite big back in the
day. I wish you'd have mentioned this earlier. I would have looked for it. So go on, carry on.
We can have a look for it still. But it was a song called Cash Machine, which is an absolutely superb track. So I went along and I was in 3 days worth of filming, and I'm in their video called Cash Machine. Now, at this video shoot, there's a bloke there who runs a modelling agency, and he said, oh, will you join my agency? So I did. But the agency was called The Uglies.
Okay, go on.
I'd done some bird life. I was on some bird life fish finger packaging. I was every week for about 5 months. I was in Farmers Weekly, advertising pesticides. But I had these cards made saying Griffiths, ugly, which I used to have to give out, which is awful.
So you wrote. I want to know the flubberlub rap. How did the flubberlub rap go?
Right. Well, I was working with a friend of mine called Roger Murray. Now, we used to write a lot of songs together. He's a very, very, very talented songwriter. So I was working with him, and I met these two fat DJs, right? They were really fat, two DJs, lovely fellas called Paul and Steve. So I had this idea of a summer hit, a summer record. I dressed these two fellas up as Bill and Ben, and we made this song, which I rapped, and it was called the Flobberlob Rap. So you can imagine Bill and Ben doing
yeah.
And I had great plans for this. I realised it was destined to failure. I had all these T-shirts made. The chorus Tre Tre was, "Oi, you're hard, didn't you?" So, and it was the same time as Frankie Says Relax. So I had all these T-shirts saying, the two fat DJs say you're hard, didn't you? You know, like Frankie Says Relax.
Yeah.
And I realised it was destined to failure when our first professional photo shoot was taken in Kew Gardens, and they both suffered terrible, terrible hay fever. So their eyes were closing up. But anyway, another one of those things, Trey. So I had the idea. I thought I'd give it a go, but unfortunately, it's just an interesting part of my past now.
So no more rap songs.
Can you see the picture of the two blokes sitting there dressed as Bill and Ben?
I've got. You know what? If you see this poor book now, how it's been highlighted, written, corners folded over. It's been really worked over for me and my. And anyway, why on earth would you do a barbecue in your living room?
Yes, I did.
Why?
I invented the indoor barbecue. I had letters of complaint afterwards from all my neighbours, the fire brigade.
I bet they did.
The police were called.
Oh.
It was an invention that never saw Dragon's Den.
So obviously the whole house was filled with smoke, alarms going off.
The whole block. It was a black smoke. I was second floor up, and literally people, all the alarms were going off. There was 2 fire engines, and I was having a barbecue. You're doing what, mate? I was having a barbecue. What, in your house? Yes. So it went down terribly, Tre Tre.
I can imagine that, Griff, you know. So what else have you got to tell me that's really... Why was Gary Newman embarrassed he had no hair?
He always used to wear hats. Don't you remember? He always had a hat on.
Yeah.
And I was working over at his Rock City Studios in Shepperton, and he always wore a hat. And he was bald, and he didn't like it. But the tea boy would always fill up the biscuit tin with Gary Baldy biscuits.
Was that done on purpose? Was that?
It was done on purpose. Yeah. And can he come in, Gary Baldy? Gary Baldy? Come see Gary Baldy. I know, it's a very small thing.
Oh, you're terrible!
When you've got the sense of humour of a child, Tre Tre, those kind of things make me tickle.
Yeah, and I want to know about your regalia in your house playing with your knives and forks.
Utensils, yeah, absolutely, yeah. I can't read that out. I think someone will have to read that because I think there's some swearing in that.
We're not going to read it, yeah, but yeah. Why was he bending? Was he actually bending your spoons? No.
No, that was part of my routine. Do you remember that time when it was all this positive thinking, all that psychic? You know, my mum's the seventh daughter of a gypsy family.
Yeah.
She's meant to be a witch, so I pretty much believe that psychics don't really exist. I'd like to be proved wrong. But, with the power of the mind, I think he was the chairman of Exeter Football Club, wasn't he? And with the power of the mind that season, they got relegated.
Wow, this book is unbelievable. It is really good. So the documentary. How did the documentary? Did the book come first, or did the documentary come first?
Well, what happened first? Now, the book came first. The book was something that I worked on through lockdown. Now, everybody through lockdown, if you were artistic,
yeah,
the whole thing flew off. I had a very good friend of mine called Martin Parrott. Now, through lockdown, he created a punk rock group, and they made an album for 4 different venues, 4 different studios, which eventually came out as the Wingmen. That was his way of combating that nonsense which we all had to endure, which was COVID. But with me I was talking to somebody on the phone, and I just said I played chess with a fellow who thought he was God when I was in the Priory. And they just said to my mate, write some more of those stories down. So I just started writing some stories down, and all these things, they happen, they're true. So the way the book was written, Tre Tre, it's not like a life story. It's like a small section of anecdotes.
Yeah.
At the very start of the book, it says something like, think of this book as a beautiful swimming pool in the sun. You can dive into it whenever you want. That's right. Exactly how I like reading a book. There are 2 sorts of books I like reading. One is technical books about dates and times and names about the Second World War and campaigns during the D-Day victories. And other books I like are ones where I could just pick it up and put it down whenever I like. So that's it. I wanted to write it how I wanted it to be, how I wanted to read one, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I like picking this up and just, I do.
I think I achieved that. One chapter you've got, it's maybe 2 pages long, and then you turn the next page, it just says, Boris Becker ran my wife over. So that's just one line.
How did you run your wife over?
He ran her over. He ran her over when he goes to Wimbledon. He ran her over.
What? With what? A car? A car?
Yeah, he ran her over, yeah.
Was she okay?
Yeah, well, she's okay, yeah.
She's okay now, yeah, she's okay. She's okay.
Well, here's another thing, you see. He says in the book that I found true love. Now, when I wrote the book, I was mad enough. We got married, but unfortunately, we're getting divorced now. And I can't rewrite the book, because you can't go back into reprint. I know, which is really sad, Tracy.
Oh, that's sad. So, after this book, this book is officially released now, yeah? So, has anybody said anything to you about it? Has anybody asked you, have you got any sort of comebacks? Anybody questioning you?
I've been doing loads of radio interviews, loads of press interviews. I've had positive feedback from just about everybody. Louder than more, punctuation. I think I've had every review on Amazon's been great. I've done European radio. Yeah, people like it. Yeah, I'm amazed really, but it is what it is. When everybody who's read it just likes it. It's just a good fun book. It's to be taken the way it's written. It's an insight into.
Yeah.
I think someone said it's the insight into the mind of a spontaneous, eccentric person, or something along those lines. And the way this chap reviewed it made me cry because he really was spot on.
Oh.
Yeah. What makes me tick is the fact that I have to keep going. I have to keep trying new ideas. I have to keep trying things. Probably why I'm speaking so fast. I have to keep on the move. Otherwise, if I don't, I fall into a terrible black hole. So now I have to keep trying things. And I'm quite. Sometimes I paint. I don't know if you've ever painted, but I could be literally paint nothing for 2 years. Then I'd just be sitting there, bang! I have to go and I'll paint 8 pictures in 4 days.
Wow.
But then I won't touch it at all. it's that artistic streak. You know, when I've spoken to other artists, they have a very similar thing. But all of this is covered, in the pages of the book there. But I'm pleased that I did it. If nothing else, it's an achievement. But my publishers have been asking me for a second book. So
really?
Since December. Yeah.
So what would be in the second book?
Sorry.
What would be in the second book?
Well, I've got loads more stories, but I'd like to cover more of my musical stuff, like Are They Hostile? Because that's not covered in the first book. Because we hadn't even thought about the documentary in the album then. So more musical stories. I've got because I've had a very interesting life since I was since I started playing drums at the age of like 10 or whatever. And with my family background, I've got some head full of stories.
Certainly, I want to play this other song now. Step This Way
by the Marines.
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
So let's have a listen to this. Just to see if this will come on. Is that it? Is that it? That's it.
Tre Tre, isn't that just an absolutely brilliantly written pop song?
It is very poppy. Yeah, did I hear a bit of a little Beatley influence there?
Very much so. There's a great harmony. It's very 60s. I think we should get prepared for the Croydon beat. I think this is what's going to happen this year. All of these superb bands on the Are They Hostile albums finally seeing the light of day after 4 decades.
So I was having a discussion with one of my who's the current lead singer of the Blockheads at the moment, Mike Bennett, and we were talking about punk and new wave and the blurred line where it crosses over. So I always thought, because I was younger then, I always thought punk was Mohican and the the tartan pants and the zips, that type of punk. But
punk rock changed the world completely, didn't it? I mean, I was kind of the second wave. So I was a little bit. My older brother, who's unfortunately no longer with us, he was at the start of the punk, and I used to go and see bands with him when I was like 13, because I was too young.
Yeah, I was.
Punk changed. It changed the world completely. Not only the music industry, it changed the attitude, fashion, youth culture, media, TV shows, the way films and TV programs were made. I mean, it's a major thing that can't be swept under the carpet. And I'm really pleased that this album has been documented, and we can really celebrate what was going on in Croydon at that time, because Croydon is arguably the birthplace of punk, with the band called Johnny Moped and the Dams. The Johnny Moped band are actually on the album. They've got 2 tracks on the album. But yeah, it's Croydon was the birthplace of UK punk, and another fact that we're all really proud of. Everybody involved in the Hostile Project are really proud of the fact that we can we're under that banner.
Well, I'd like, I would love to get you two in together, all 3 of us in here, and have a really good 2-hour conversation on Croydon punk and the new wave and the late 80s punk, because it did cross over from, the crossover. I find it very difficult to genre, and recognise these crossovers and these blurred lines. Who makes these genres? Who says that's new wave? Who says that's...
Absolutely. Now, this is the conversation they were having. They were coming to the questions asked to Rick Butler, the drummer of the Jam last night. He was asked very similar questions because they weren't really punk.
Yeah.
They were part of the punk movement, the attitude, the energy and the excitement, and the fact that you could do it yourself, and the fact it was a youth movement. They were part of that, but they weren't really safety pins, smashing the place up, all spitting at each other. But they were still part of that. They were kind of like maybe a little bit of pub rock coming in there, a bit of Walco Johnson, a bit of Dr. Feelgood, but they're very 60s influenced as well. So but I think you're right there. As you mentioned, like punk rock too. For example, we're involved ever so slightly with the Croydon cultural celebrations for the London Borough of Culture this year. And when you mention punk, you see people go, oh dear, because they think that we're going to smash the place up. But
with big, massive Mohicans and safety pins in the noses. That was the idea I had until I was corrected.
Yes, well, very much so. I mean, obviously, you have to be aware that punk rock changed everything. It changed absolutely everything. To this day, the influences are still there. I mean, it wouldn't be, just about fashion moved on.
Yeah.
Before
but how long?
What their parents wore.
How long would you say, though, the actual punk rock, the mindset, the lifestyle actually lasted for?
Well, Tre Tre is still going now.
Even though you say it's still going now, yeah.
Yes, I mean, there's a thing called Rebellion, which is after every year.
Yes.
Which is the punk rock festival. I've got some very good friends going up there. In fact, I'm going up there this year. I'm on the literacy.
I will see you there.
Oh, excellent! I have a few beers. I'm reading from my book, but there's punk. It's like everything evolves, doesn't it? Like the mod culture moves into psychedelia, and punk rock moves into something else. Everything changed, and of course, the music is bound to change because those bands that started off only knowing 2 chords, after the first 6 months they know 10 chords, and then with the second album becomes more artistic, the third album becomes more politically correct. I don't know, but it would evolve, won't it? Because the people are getting older.
Well, did you play any other instruments apart from drums?
Well, I started playing guitar and piano.
Right.
I got hit by a car when I was 14 years old. That's also in the book. I was coming back from the pub, pissed actually. And I went to the windscreen. I got hit by the same car, Tre Tre. I got hit by the same car twice.
How did you get hit by the same car twice?
I went through the windscreen.
Oh my word!
From the outside, and I bounced off the front seat, and he bounced out again off the front seat, and then he hit me again trying to swerve me.
So was you seriously injured? You were okay though?
No, my arms. But I can only use 2 fingers on my left hand.
No.
Yes, I used to take the guitar. That's why I can't play guitar or piano because my left hand is completely knackered.
So you have to. So drums are okay. You can bash the drums away.
That kept me going. I used to sellotape the drumstick in there. Absolutely. But back in the day, I think I missed about 9 months, maybe 10 months of school.
Do you still pick up the drumsticks?
Yeah, I'm playing a jam tribute band.
Yes, as you said, yes. So how's that going? What's that name? What's that called? Tell us all about that quickly.
Ghosts, the spirit of the jam. We're very, 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 very good.
Wow. And where are they going to be performing?
This year sorry?
Where are they going to be performing?
We are playing, the next time we are playing this Saturday at the March of the Mods, which is in Guildford. It's for the Teenage Cancer Trust. We're headlining the March of the Mods down there. But if you go onto our website, go to our Facebook page, Ghosts, the Spirit of the Jam, we're playing all over the place all the time.
Wow. So you're pretty active and still in the game, still living your life, still having fun.
It's a paid hobby more than anything else, playing drums. I think this year I've played with 10 different bands because I'm the bloke they pick on when there's, like for example, if your drummer's he can't make it, he's got COVID or he's got his girlfriend giving him a hard time, they give me a ring. So I've played, I think, 10 different bands I've picked with this year. But it keeps me fit.
Yeah.
for the cover of my next book. Now, here's a quick story, Tre Tre. I've got 2 seconds.
Yeah, we've got about 6 minutes.
Right, okay. Right, here we go. My first ever professional recording was a song called One of Us, which actually came out on the Are They Hostile album you got in front of you.
Yeah.
Now, that was done when I was 14 years old.
Wow.
It was produced and engineered by the 2 original members of the band Mud. Remember Mud?
Yes.
Five the Feet Cat Cryptid.
Yeah.
Now, they are playing with a friend of mine who's a keyboard player for the Hollies. He's a friend of theirs. They're doing a one-off gig at a place called The Cavern on my 60th birthday, which is in May. So
what day in May?
Sorry?
What day in May?
28th.
I'm on the 12th. Mine's 12th. Yeah, we're both tourists.
Anyway, so I'm on a fitness regime because I want to take my shirt off in public for the picture on stage with Mud for the cover of my next book. That's my plan.
Wow, I shall look forward to that.
Now, sometimes it didn't work so well this week because I've been eating donuts and drinking beer, but that's my plan anyway.
Oh, you know what, right, so we choose a quick song. Oh, but we've got time for another song. Oh, which song?
Well, from the album?
Yeah. We've got Brixton, Russia, When the Sun Goes Down, Rejected, I Don't Want to Kill Wales.
I tell you what, as I'm a really big fan of the Fanatics, put in When the Sun Goes Down. There's another Fanatic song, and they are absolutely superb.
When the sun goes down, let me find it.
Let me see, I've got the album in front of me here now. Track 7, side 2.
Oh, I'm looking. I've not got it. Oh yeah, I've got it. I've just found it. There we go. Right, let's get these adverts out of the way. It always gets adverts on YouTube nowadays. It's ridiculous. Right, I'm going to play this now. Let's see what this does. Let's go.
Very good.
That's When the Sun Goes Down. Who's that by?
That's by the Fanatics.
The Fanatics.
And if they are listening, Mike Simister, the singer, he's just had major operation. I won't tell you what about. But let's wish him to get well soon. That's what I think.
Get well soon, Mike. Get well soon, Mike. I hope to get you on the show soon.
Yes, they should be, because with their new releases and stuff.
Yeah, let's get them on. Let's get them on. My darling, we're going to run out of time, but it's been so...
Has that been okay? Have we had a good chat?
We've had a great chat. Can you believe we've been chatting for 40 minutes?
No.
We've been chatting for 50 minutes.
Well, I never.
Can you believe how fast it's gone?
Well, especially when me and you speak so fast, that's like 2 hours worth of airtime.
Yeah. But when you said to me earlier, you said, oh, we're going to chat for 5 minutes. I said, 5 minutes? I don't do 5 minutes.
Would but when you do that, you can't get anything into 5 minutes, can you?
No, that's why I would never insult someone and say, come on for 15 minutes or 5 minutes industry standard. No, come on to my show, you're going to get an hour platform.
Yes, but in fact, an hour does it just sort of covers the surface, really, doesn't it?
Oh, you can, as long as, like you're a good chat, you're a good chatter, you're a professional at what you do, so you know how to talk. And the time passes very quickly. You know how to work the radio. So as long as you've got someone chatting like me and you and I, we could talk for 2 or 3 hours. And
couldn't we just? We should go away. Yes. An hour a day with Griff and Tre.
Oh, hey, if you get down to Manchester, come and co-present with me. You could be my co-presenter and we'll do the Griff and Tre show.
I will. And you're definitely going to the Rebellion, are you?
I'm hoping so, yes. I'll get in touch with you after the show and we'll talk about it. I'll give you a ring tomorrow and we'll talk about it.
Lovely, my darling. Well, thank you very much. It's been an honour to be on your show,
and
Tre.
Same, likewise.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
For supporting my book. Thank you very much indeed.
Take care, sweetheart. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye, darling. Bye-bye.